So, well, it's nice to meet you actually. Well, so as I give myself a bit of an introduction, but I'll do it again. So, we're a team at the Harvard Innovation Labs. So I'm a participant, and in the growth of work on a project, to understand the options for communities to well, and at the same time, maybe also help create more house options. So we both first understand what are the options when I answer. He understand that there are plenty of steps to build these and then do or to renovate the thing, see if it's permanent, all that. But I think for today we will financing now. At the same time, we've also search on other innovative finance models. So specifically with models where that exist in cities, but they're not the Boston. So we wanted to kind of understand it's about privacy and finance. So potentially there being artists, tips, that's fiction, I'm kind of just overview, and things, and then you come up showing to box these straddled over here who are actually on parents, right? And what they should bear, and we give you more emails and financing situations. And then by will have a little bit of stuff shown. Innovate kinds of models which don't exist right now, but it's hard to understand. But our common words are interested in such things. And then just to know, on the data collection, and so that can with population. So we will report, we will report your responses to the questions on financial situation and your basins and my bottom as there's some lenders and banks that hey, we had a situation and some other state traditions, but we're interested in seeing it. But if you were interested in seeing their products or like your financial situation is, you can reach out to the I connect you with them and if you got the app session. And in addition, also helps us in research from machine level financial situation you find first. Our goal is to identify potentially identify their partnerships that would be beneficial for risks. Want to report things, addresses, or other perceived information. And all your information is kept confidential. If you don't want anything reported, that's staying high. Just like me or anything stacked though. And if that means so just in the session, then ask the questions. And if you're open to be contacted after the workshop on initial finding steps for our project, the portal or email us. And if you have any questions, and then I think the Mr. Phipps could answer. And then I don't know, bad words. I would just like to make sure party thought.
Like the little striker, sure.
Yep, the recording's off.
I'm excited to be with you this morning. Share some ideas about access to dwelling units that currently come to be known as additional dwelling units. But we'll be talking briefly about process how you can get started on one of those items, the option for funding. And then I've heard some other wonderful collaborators in the room that you'll get to talk about details on your own personal financing situation. ADUs, as they're known, come in three forms, and we can talk about financing. The financing options cover all three forms. There's the internal ADU, there's the tax ADU, and there's a standalone ADU. A standalone is when you have a single family. Single families, in most cases, are 1 to 4 units. If you have 4 units, it is unlikely you could do an ADU because that would move your property into a commercial space, 5 units. But on 2 or 3 units, you may have the option of adding additional living space, either as a standalone unit built on your property separate from the initial structure. Or you can have an attached ADU if your space allows, with setbacks and everything. to be able to have your current property expanded to accommodate an attached accessory dwelling unit. Or you may have basement or attic space, which you can convert to an additional living unit. And it's an independent living unit that would generally be allowed to have cooking facilities, et cetera, which is a difference between additional living space and an additional dwelling unit. Individuals have at times, converted garages or basements and added, living space, but that does not allow cooking utilities in that additional space. Now, the process is quite simple and contained. There have been a lot of streamlined. Mattapan is a very unique space, and once if you're here and you live in Mattapan, to sort of understand that you're in a very special space. ADUs are intended to provide additional living space for elderly family members needing to care for, but also youngsters that can't afford living outside of the house. And normally the American society sort of helps you to remove yourself from the premises between 18 and 21 and become a independent liver. But that trend has changed somewhat. So now we have the individuals returning home after some short work experience or some college time, and they need to be accommodated because they can't afford cost of living in the general Greater Boston area. So that has led to ADUs being part of that accommodation for individuals. But it can also serve as additional income for individuals who need housing, if you can accommodate others. And some people are interested in being landlords, some people are not. And I think one of my friends that I heard earlier, spoke earlier, mentioned name, but she knows what I'm referring to. But the bottom line is you have opportunities to expand the current living facility out and to serve the neighborhood needs as well as your personal needs as they may exist. Now, talking about the process, you would get permission, although you're in Mattapan, speaking of unique, you have as of right. You don't need to apply for special permits or zoning or anything. If you have the space and you have a single family, you can add a unit as long as it does not change the zoning. See the zoning requirements for your actual unique space where your property exists. You still have to get plans, you still have to get building permits, you still have to do all the other things, but it's a much more streamlined process with the as of right because it means you have the authority to do that if you already have a single family or a single family identified property to ask about to accommodate the need. Now, they've asked me to speak specifically about finance. The Federal Housing Administration has made adjustments to its mortgage lending policy to accommodate so you can get loans for ADUs from banks, or other financial institutions. You may also work with economic development corporations in your area, Mattapan CDC being one of them, to identify resources for additional accessory running units. And I use that word accessory and additional interchangeably because, as I said earlier, people come to know them as additional dwelling units. As it relates to financing, you have, besides the resources that I mentioned already, you have self-directed individual retirement accounts that you can use for this purpose with yours generally or other people who are using their IRAs to generate additional revenue. So if you have an IRA and you want to put it in a self-directed pool so you can determine if you want to use your money or use someone else's money to be able to do the development, plus it will certainly generate income if that's your intended purpose. You have self-directed 401k plans, similar to individual retirement accounts that you can use. You have in our community, Susu Pool. Susu Pool, if you don't know, is where 20, 30, 40, 50 people get together and they put in $100 a month or $500 a month. There are different levels. And if you have 20 people putting in $500 for a particular period, regardless of how many people there's in that pool, that total money, amount of money, time the members, time the amount contributed, becomes a pool that's given to somebody at the end of the month, and it will run for the number of months that a person, that the number of people will run the number of months for the pool. At each person every month gets that sum of money to be able to do whatever they want to do. So those are very common in our areas. Some people don't particularly care for banks, so they use systems to accumulate funds. In addition to the SUSU pools and self-directed programs, you have the CDFIs. There are a couple of them in the community. I don't want to name specific, but you can look up Community Development Finance Institutions. As a matter of fact, there's Dorchester Bay, there's Lookup Capital, and there are a few others in our community that you can identify as resource that help you with funds for additional dwelling units. You also have your this went right out, man. The organizations, the credit unions, as well as banking institutions. Not all banks do them, but I'm sure you can find institutions that do them, and you have guaranteed rate everything this morning that may be able to provide some additional information on funding. Funding can also come from family members. In many families, there are one or two individuals who have resources that can help you to create that space for additional income. However, all your agreements should be written. You should have an attorney address the process so that there's no hard feelings or family breakups as a result of a little interfamily business. Sure things are going to pay your investor or lender back and keep your family intact. So those are a few things that we thought of in terms of resources to help you with the development of your ADU. It is a very good option in many cases. Every person's situation is different. No two pieces of land are the same, two parcels. So you have to work with what you have to be able to determine if this program or the accessory dwelling unit is something that you can accommodate. And not all parcels would be able to accommodate it because you still need enough land to do that development, to have setbacks so that you don't endanger your property or the neighbor's property or encumber the neighbor's property. So there are a number of things you still have to consider as part of this process. You still have to have plans, and you should discuss this possibility very carefully with your family members and determine what your specific needs are, and then confirm those needs with the Boston Planning and Development Authority or 1010 Mass South Planning and Zoning. They're very happy to provide information to you that will help you guide the process. Because as the good book says, you want to count the costs before you start. You don't want to get started and then get stuck, because that can be costly in many ways. It could cost you your property. So you don't want to put yourself in that position. Be sure that you are guided by some professionals that will help you to be able to make that determination as to whether funding is going to allow you to do it, or whether the funding would be that you can acquire would be insufficient to do it, and then you have to look at alternative resources. They're not intended to be lavish, but it's your choice. They're intended to be modest accommodation or living units that help others to lean forward but it helps you to build wealth. And the more you spend on it, the more you have to recover. But you want to provide good, code compliant, habitable conditions for anybody that you're going to accommodate. We talked about what the ADU is. Talked about how you can get funding for it. We talked about the permit process, and recently FHA modified lending program to accommodate these types of dwelling units. So that was the November 23. It was provided, and December 4th, it had to be implemented. So almost any bank now doing FHA loans should be able to assist you with funding compliant accessory dwelling units. If there are any questions for me, I'm happy to take the questions if that's feasible with the organizers. I'd like to make sure that if you're doing any additional dwelling units in the Mattapan area, that you have the resources and direction and guidance and support all that you need. We have some resources in Mattapan with architects and developers that can help you with that process. I know we did not necessarily invite them this morning because we weren't sure what the demands would be, but if as an individual you'd like to pursue one, we're happy to make those resources available to you. And you can let others know that Mattapan CDC is here to serve you in any way that we can help economic development in the community. You can have a consult with us, with one of our associates, advisors, to be able to help you to get to where you need to be or want to be as a Mattapan resident. Make sure that whatever resource we have, we're willing to share with you. Any questions?
Yes, sir. Mr. Phipps, thank you so much for that comprehensive analysis. My name is Gerald Bell from Guaranteed Rate, and two questions I'd like to pose to you. One, again, it's very helpful how you took an overview and explained. Could you talk a little bit first about how when I started in the business years ago, this was one of the most illegal things you could do. An illegal unit, an in-law unit, a mother-in-law unit. And to sit here so many years and we were doing a prayer, take that stove out. You can't be living there. And now we're in a situation in America, particularly in Boston, where, we just don't have enough land. And now we're at this beautiful facility talking about all these wonderful programs that allow you to have all these things that you couldn't have. But also talk about that transition. And also, lastly, talk a little bit about, you said the FHA in 2022 approved it. So you're talking about the FHA allowing us to have the rents. Were you a part of that? And how did the FHA come to that? Because I don't think this is a phenomenon across the country. I know East Coast probably in Boston, but our friends from Harvard are trying to figure that one out. And so
I'll try to address it. The need for housing, affordable housing, became very apparent coming out of the 2008 fiasco when prices started climbing, went through the roof. And in order to be able to afford, I was part of the housing counseling process with NID Outcome Agency, where people having fallen behind on their mortgages had no way of catching up. They were either out of work for periods of time, had divorce situations, death, but the income in the household was reduced. And as a result of that, those challenges, thousands of people lost their homes because there was just no way to recover and make those mortgage payments or come back to the bank and say, well, there's enough money coming into the house that I can make my mortgage payment, even when they went to 50%. So it was obvious that that situation was just going to get worse. We have citizens aging, the aging population, downsizing and needing less costly accommodations. So money was a big part of the discussion at all levels. Affordability. As a result, the Federal Housing Administration, based on observed needs and consults with stakeholders, was able to modify in 2023, November 2023, their lending programs had some overlays to be able to then count the possible income from an additional dwelling unit towards the development of that unit, creating that unit. And that was a big move in terms of the banking industry with those lenders who have FHA programs to be able to, because not all lenders do FHA, but most of them do. So that was a big move in terms of helping the affordability for development of additional dwelling units, as well as looking at validating the income from additional dwelling units as credible income to qualify for more. The overall need for additional housing further exacerbated by the influx of immigrants, refugees, so to speak. UN conduct was determined that these individuals are entitled to decent housing accommodations. So that was another factor in the process, realizing that between the youngsters that are aging out of homes and the seniors that are aging in, and the returning of individuals who separated themselves from home for independent living, and realizing that that was not going to be a long-term option. The taste of freedom was good, but the cost of freedom was too high to continue that process. So all of these factors, and there's a handout that I hope to have for you shortly, that outlines a lot of these reasons why additional accessory dwelling units are rising quickly in popularity, because it's a solution that addresses a lot of needs. It addresses individual need for wealth development, and real estate is the foundation of most wealthy Americans. Multiple properties, commercial properties, in lots of different spaces. Some people have been able to acquire medical buildings, but whatever the real estate is, it's generally a source of wealth creation. And we're talking mostly about residential units in terms of wealth creation, and that's because there's a community need for the housing units. It meets the city's needs for density in urban areas, and lends to that concept. Consumption resources, they're not spread all over the area, but they're used in a concentrated area. It makes the city much more able to manage those resources in terms of distribution, access, and fiscal management. And it always comes back to finance. So when I say fiscal management, that's part of the city's process in terms of managing its resources to be able to serve communities. I hope I've answered your question, Mr. Bell, and I know that you will also address a need for resources as it relates to your particular capacity, and I will be quiet so you can do that. And
thank you, sir. No,
I want to certainly thank the Harvard team, the faculty, and the students who are working on the project to help underserved communities and communities that really need the impact that the information they're providing can have on community. So thank you, Sue, and your colleague Ashwin for coming out this morning to help us to be able to get this information and share this.
Thank you, Mr. Phipps.